Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Emmy. I'm a personal shopper, a personal stylist, and a fashion design student at the Fashion Institute of Technology. I make a lot of fashion related videos, so yeah, that's a little brief. Anyway, recently on my TikTok, I've been getting a bunch of different questions regarding FIT and how I got in, how the process was like, what my experience is. So I decided I'd make a whole video dedicated to this just because I've been there for almost a year now. I'm on my second semester and I wanted to talk about it because I was definitely looking for this video when I was dreaming of going there. Okay, so first, I get asked a lot how I got into fashion and how I knew I wanted to study fashion. I've always kind of known. I feel like it kind of stemmed from my grandma always dressing me up and me wanting to keep dressing up, and then as I got older I obviously realized that this could be a career of mine, and I'm guessing a lot of movies or stuff just influenced this and it got me into it. I know that I've always been very into what I was wearing, so then when I found out I could do it professionally, I was like, yes, that. And then I've always been more on the creative side rather than the business, so then that's how I differentiated my inclination to fashion from business and the more artistic creative part. So yeah, obviously I ended up choosing fashion design. I remember my parents in general being like, girl, that's not a career. They weren't supportive at first, but then obviously they saw that it was something I wanted to do and something I was very passionate about and something I guess I was good at. So then here I am. If you're going through the same thing, just show your passion and show that it's something you want to do. Oh, also if you hear stuff in the background, sorry. I also got asked really often how I knew I wanted to study FIT. So this FIT was pretty much my dream school ever since my dad told me about it when I was probably like 11. He was like, you know, the Fashion Institute of Technology exists, and I was like, what? And ever since that day I was like, I want to go to FIT, I want to go to FIT, I want to go to FIT. And then obviously as I grew up I started to research more colleges because it was time. And then FIT kind of checked all of my boxes. Yeah, it checked all the boxes. I don't know what else to say. And I was so intent on attending FIT that I did not apply to any other college. I literally only applied to FIT. I risked it all. It was worth it, but I risked it all. I really did not have a backup. People always ask me like, what would you have done? And there's no answer. I would have cried is what I would have done. So obviously since I'm a fashion design major, my application process was a bit different than other majors just because I had like a whole portfolio thing to get reviewed. It's part of the application, and then other majors I'm sure is just an essay. Test scores are optional, and your grades obviously. So yeah, so my experience with the portfolio, I had done a portfolio development class or pre-college course at Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York, which helped me a lot to develop like my skills and kind of what different colleges were searching for and how to put your ideas on paper, I guess. So that was very helpful, but obviously you do not need to go to a pre-college course to learn this. There are millions of videos on YouTube. There's the universityoffashion.com, which helps a lot. It's a membership, but it's pretty affordable. So yeah, I took portfolio design classes, and then when it came to the time to like when the time neared for like applying to FIT, I started working on the portfolio probably that summer before, because FIT, unlike other colleges, the deadline is in February rather than like November, I think it was for some, or like October, December. So I had some time. I really wanted to work on it over the course of a few months just in case some things changed or like I improved in a few different areas. So I would definitely recommend starting your portfolio a little before it's due and don't procrastinate it. I'm obviously going to show you guys my portfolio in a bit, but yeah. Okay, so once I had my portfolio finished, I kind of needed that extra validation, and I saw that FIT was hosting a portfolio review day. I know they do this for both the fall semester and the spring semester, so it doesn't matter what semester you're going for. If you're interested in going to one of those, there's one for both. I saw that they were hosting it. It's usually just for the students who live in the tri-state area and who can attend it easily. But my dad said we could fly over there, just because he saw that this was where I wanted to go and that this would help me, you know, go. So once I got to the portfolio review day, the professor was like, I wouldn't change a thing, this is perfect, this is absurd, like hyping me up. I was like, yes, thank you, this is what I needed. So after that, I was quite content. I was still kind of doubtful, just because the whole process was kind of stressful, because since you do apply in February, you can apply way before, but the deadline is in February, so that means you won't hear from them until March to April. But yeah, so since I applied pretty early, literally as soon as he said yes, I wouldn't change a thing, I scanned the images and I applied. So the way, kind of the first thing you have to do is have a SUNY account, which is, it takes like 2 steps to open a SUNY account, and then you can apply through the college. I think it was like $50. You apply through Slide Room, I think it's called. You just submit pictures of your portfolio. So as soon as he said do it, I did it, and I got that done. I applied in October, and I waited from October to April 1st to hear my decision, which obviously I got in. I say obviously because I go there, whatever. Anyway, I was so nervous. That whole time is kind of nerve-wracking because you don't know. You're like kind of convinced you didn't get in after a certain point because you see that other people are starting to get accepted, and it's crazy. The whole thing was so stressful, but it was worth it. I remember the day I found out, I was in a group chat. Definitely look up FIT 2020, whatever, your year of graduation on Facebook. There's probably gonna be, like, later on in the application process, there's most likely a group, so you can guys all talk and stuff. But yeah, I was in one of those groups, and I saw that people were getting in, and someone was like, I called and they gave me my decision that way, because they mail out decisions. They don't email you, they mail them out. We're in 1984, I don't know, but someone was like, I had to call and they gave me my decision. So I was like, nah, I was in period. I was in class, and I was in my study hall period. So I was like, I call it professor, like Mrs. whatever, like, please, I need to know, I'm stressing out. And she was like, go ahead, call, because I went to a private school. Like, phones cannot, they were so strict. So she was like, grab your phone. They were in a bin. I was like, oh my god, I was shaking. All my friends were like, bruh, you got this. So I called and I was like, hi, like, whatever, it's kind of late. In the, like, letting me know process, like, would you be able to email me my decision? And the lady was like, yeah, of course, check your email. I checked my email and I got in. Here's the video of me finding out I got in. Yeah, I was pretty emotional. It was kind of crazy because it was all of that stress built up. And even though that professor said, like, that he was impressed with my portfolio, you always have self-doubt. So it was just kind of like a release of all that. But yeah, I found out I got in April 1st. April 1st, when all my friends were finding out in December. That's why I was also really stressed out, but whatever, it was obviously worth it. And yeah, so now I'm gonna talk. I already kind of talked about my portfolio, but now I want to show you guys my portfolio. So I think they ask for a certain amount of, like, pieces. So they'll ask for a mood board that inspired your collection, and then they'll ask for, like, I think it was a jacket, skirts, pants, tops, like, it's a certain, like, 3 tops, 2 pants, a skirt, a dress, stuff like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you'll see it in a second. So for my mood board, this is what I did. It's supposed to be inspired by a city, or you're supposed to put the city in which your customer would wear it. So I chose Vienna. Now, looking at this, having studied at FIT for a year now, this is trash. But anyway, this is where I was at when I applied. It just has, like, your mood board is supposed to have, like, your color palette. It's supposed to have different silhouettes that'll inspire you. So obviously you can tell I was inspired by the primary colors. Very rigid, but then also kind of like softer silhouettes over here. And yeah, this is my mood board. Kind of bad. The first look, I look at this now and I literally cringe. I can't. This is so bad, but whatever. My first, can you even see it because of the ring light? Okay, my first look was this skirt. It has, like, this tulle overlay and this jacket. You also have to include flats or you have to include either flats or a back view of the thing. So it could be either a figure drawn like this, but from the back, or these flats. And then your fabric swatches. That's the second look. It's just pants and a top. I wish there was... Okay. And then this was the other looks. Was it? Oh my god, I cannot believe I submitted that. This is horrid. Yeah. And then here you were given like a creative space, so you decide what influenced you. There was no restrictions as to what you could design. There was no certain amount of pieces. So I chose to do outfits from the Met Gala that I would have designed. So here's from the China through, what is it? It was China Through a Looking Glass here, and then Manus Ex Machina. And then I did Rei Kawakuo, which is her Conservación. I say that so wrong, I'm sorry. But yeah, that was my influence. I keep trying to peek, like I'm like, hey. And then I did the Heavenly Bodies one. And then I remember like the day before I was like gonna submit it, the camp was announced, like camp Met Gala theme was announced, so I was like, I have to do it. So I did this. I didn't really understand what it was about, but anyway, it's like a trench with like applique flowers. Not the greatest, not the campiest, but it's what I had. And then that was it. I know that for FIT you don't have to submit any other art stuff. It's just like, this was the rest of my portfolio. If you guys want to see, those are some hands I drew, a person, some images I took. And then you also have to submit pictures of stuff you've sewn. I wasn't that great at sewing when I applied to FIT. I just kind of had some knowledge because I took a class, but whatever. So I did like this top. It was all in muslin too. I didn't even use actual fabric, but I did a top and a skirt, and then another top and a skirt over here. And then this was just from another pre-college course I did, which was for textile design. Nothing too crazy there. That's pretty much how it went for me. And now I want to talk about my experience. So my experience at FIT has been overall positive. Obviously, given the recent coronavirus situation, it's a little tainted just because of the way they're handling it, but whatever. I love living in New York. There's so many opportunities. There's so many opportunities at FIT itself. The professors have so much knowledge. It's absurd. A lot of them work in the industry while they're giving you classes. So I know that one of my professors, he used to make suits for Barack Obama. It's kind of crazy. I personally lived in the dorms for my first year. Now I'm not going to live in the dorm, but I had a good experience. They have security. They do a lot of fire drills. There's so many fire drills at FIT. I don't know what's up with that, but there's so many fire drills. You do have to buy your own. This has nothing to do with the dorms. You do have to buy your own materials, so like fabric and stuff, and it gets quite expensive. What else? Dorm life was good. Education is good. Experience is great. It is very overwhelming. Let me tell you, it is very overwhelming. There is a lot of work. FIT is very career driven, so the first day you're there, it's on, like non-stop. You are gonna cry a lot, you're gonna be stressed out a lot, but it's so worth it at the end, seeing all you did and all of your projects. It's insane. It's crazy. I love FIT. I love the life I'm living, and I'm genuinely so happy that everything I did and all my hard work paid off. So now I'm gonna read your guys' questions. I asked you guys on TikTok, and let's see. School experience, I already talked about that. Benefits. Being in New York has so many benefits in itself, and then FIT, they have a really high, I think it was like 90-something% graduation to job rate. And then I feel like it's every month they have like a career and internship service like fair, so you can go and brands and companies will scout you and stuff, and there's a lot of job opportunities, and the professors are very intent on getting their students jobs. So if you are really close to a professor, maybe they'll recommend you, or if they really like you or they like your work ethic and stuff, because that's very big at FIT, they will recommend you to different companies, because as I said, they are working in the industry. And what do you plan on doing afterwards? Well, there's some ways to go. I graduate from my associates in a year, and then for my bachelor's in 3 years. So I hope to already have a clothing line. Once I graduate FIT, I hope to still be styling people because I genuinely love styling. But yeah, I'm not sure. I still have some ways to go, but I know what I want. What's the best part of FIT? Just everything you learn, the people you meet. It's amazing being surrounded by such like-minded people and people who are passionate about the same thing as you. It's so inspiring. Could you still be accepted if you did not know how to draw but you're really interested in fashion? You kind of, no. You kind of have to know how to draw. You obviously don't have to be an expert. They don't expect you to be at like FIT level when you're just trying to apply, because that's not realistic. You just kind of have to have some knowledge of like drawing and sewing, but yeah. And then the essay, I didn't even talk about the essay. I feel like the essay for fashion design just adds to the portfolio. So if your portfolio and your essay go hand in hand, I personally wrote about how I liked to dress up and how that turned into my want to be in fashion design, and then my passion for like sustainability and stuff. And yeah, that had nothing to do with the question, but you do need to know how to draw and sew. How did you decide on a major? I've always been into fashion, and then like I said before, I've always been into the creative side of fashion. How did you get experience with the industry while in high school? I didn't. I forgot to say that. I did not do any internships. I did not have a job. I literally was so nervous because I had no extracurriculars. Like, I was like the blandest of the bland. I didn't do anything. I don't know why, but if you can do it, do it. If you don't, that's okay. But yeah, I just did pre-college courses over the summers. So yeah, I didn't really have any drawing experience. What would you recommend for learning to draw sketches well enough to get into fashion school like FIT? YouTube. You do like how to draw a croquis figure, how to render certain fabrics. Like, there's so many resources online. The universityofashion.com is $10 a month, I believe, but they're so thorough. One of my professors is the one that gives the classes, Barbara. I love her. There's so many resources online, so definitely look into that. Or if you have, there's probably classes around you. I know in Miami there's one for sewing and for fashion illustration, and I took one of those. But yeah. Do you think it helped you grow as a designer? So much. So I would not be half of the person I am if it weren't for FIT. How did you get into the school? Like, literally because you're from Venezuela. So I actually moved from Venezuela to Miami and then applied from Miami to FIT. But if you are an international student, this is a little hack for any college. If you are an international student, you have a big chance of getting in because they have to fill a certain portion of international students. So they'll accept like 50% national students and then 50% international students. So like they have to fill a quota, you know? Don't let that stop you at all. Okay, the last question I'm going to read is FIT versus Parsons. And I get a little heated, I get a little passionate about the subject just because so if you go to Parsons, I'm sorry. I'm sure your school is amazing, but I have a few things to say about that. So I feel like Parsons is extremely overpriced for what it is in comparison to the like curriculum over at FIT. So I know that at Parsons, you for a year, I think your first and second, I don't know if it's your first or your first and second semesters, that you have to take like basis courses. I don't know the exact name. You don't take your major related courses at first, so it takes you a year to start to get into your major. I don't want to be spreading false information. I probably should have researched. And then at FIT, the first day you're going, so there's that. But if you feel like Parsons is your place, it's all a matter of what you feel is best for you. If you feel it's necessary for you as a designer, as an artist, to take those basis courses, then in that case it's amazing for you. and definitely do that. You know, if you want to have a certain foundation to get into your career, I feel like that could be very helpful. But me personally, I feel like since I had already taken these classes, I was already somewhat advanced in the fashion design field. I felt like I just wanted to get started, because also that's the type of person I am. I am very and then the last thing I want to say of FIT versus Parsons is that FIT is a lot more technical and it is the Fashion Institute of Technology, so they're a lot more technical and a lot more like, you know, there's a lot of room for creativity, but then there's also a lot of room for the technical side of fashion design. So they kind of focus on those two, whilst Parsons, while they do have some technical, because obviously they're teaching how to sew and stuff, they are very focused on the creative. So again, depends on you. Anyway, that was the video. Let me know if you have any other questions in the comments and I'll try to respond to them. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped you. And if you're applying to FIT for next year, next semester, whatever, good luck to you. I believe in you. Work on your portfolio, work on your essay. You got this. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye.